Welcome to AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association. Each month, we deliver informative health and wellness topics you want to know about, so make sure to subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platform. And if you have any questions about content discussed in this episode, ask them at AFSPA Live, our live Q&A session streaming every last Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/AFSPA Cares. Now here's your host, Chief Executive Officer Kyle Longton.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of AFSPA Talks. I'm Kyle Longton, and with me is...
Maddie Norton.
Maddie, it's November still.
It is. Still November.
And that means one thing.
Open season.
Open season. It also means an early AFSPA Live this month, right?
It does. As per usual, Thanksgiving is on a Thursday, and we will be spending that time with our families. So we're going to do AFSPA Live on Thursday, November 20th at 11 a.m. So usual time, just a week early.
All right, that's right. And you won't want to miss it because it will continue the same focus we've had and we'll continue to have for podcasts this month, which is open season.
Exactly.
We want to get information out to you, our members, and ideally some of our potential members who might be considering us for next year. And we'll be just doing a Q&A. I anticipate that will be an extended AFSPA Live, a little longer than
our normal ones.
Usual 30 minutes, but it'll be you and me. So, listeners, or viewers, if you're on YouTube, if you haven't had enough of us, do tune in live. Don't miss it, or catch the recording afterward. But last week we shared some changes that we're making for open season that will come into effect for Foreign Service Benefit Plan for 2026. And so go back and listen to that one if you haven't. There's a good overview, and today we dig into some details. And we previewed this discussion last week. It's one area where we're making some changes, and it's the area that's probably going to catch the most attention. So today, AFSPA talks prescription drug coverage in 2026.
Woo!
So it's essentially two parts today, Maddie. We're going to do an overview, just you and me. We're going to do an overview of prescription drug changes for 2026 for our FSBP high option, the plan that most people have.
Yes.
And then after that, why don't you tell our listeners what comes next?
We're going to be looking at options to save money with the Medicare prescription drug plan for eligible members. And we're going to have a helpful guest with us. So he's going to help us walk through the second part, and it's going to be Tavares Johnson. And Kyle, tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah. Well, so longtime listeners will recognize TJ. And if not, if you're a first-time listener or missed any of our previous episodes where he was our featured guest, then let me tell you a little bit about him. Tavares, or TJ, began his career at Express Scripts in 2008 as a patient care advocate. In that position, he gained valuable experience supporting members, pharmacists, and physicians. His dedication and problem-solving skills led to a promotion to resolution team lead, a role in which he partnered closely with account management and clients to resolve complex member issues. Now, in 2013, he was promoted to senior account manager, where he began working with Medicare Part D clients and deepened his expertise in Medicare products and services. We're fortunate that his comprehensive understanding of both member and client needs has been instrumental in driving successful outcomes, not just for us, but for a number of plans. And in 2024, Tavares was promoted to senior manager on the EGWP, which is Employer Group Waiver Plan, or EGWIP, market strategy team, where he leads strategic initiatives to support employer group retiree plans, which the FSBP Express Scripts Medicare Prescription Drug Plan, or PDP, is one of those plans that he helps manage. His leadership and industry insight continue to make a meaningful impact across the organization. And just as a quick note, TJ has an Associates of Arts degree in business from Central Piedmont Community College, a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration with a focus on management from Appalachian State University, and an MBA from the University of Hartford. So he's bringing all that expertise, not just to today's episode, though we are certainly grateful for that, but also to the ongoing management and partnership we have with Express Scripts on the, as we call it, the PDP. So we'll talk to him a little bit later in the show. But for now, you get a deeper dive on the high option changes, and I'm going to let Maddie quiz me on some of those to make sure that we've got them right.
Yes, it's going to be our own version of a Reddit Ask Me Anything. So last week we shared with our listeners that there are changes coming to the prescription drug benefits. But when was the last time that we actually updated those benefits, Kyle?
I was quite young. Um,
Yeah. Things were a lot different for both of us.
we will, yes, but last time we made changes was actually a decade ago. It was with our changes going into the 2016. And the change that we made at that time was to introduce the six-tier model of generic, preferred brand, non-preferred brand, and then the same model, but for specialty drugs. And we put in place cost sharing at that time that has not changed since then.
Besides the amount of years, what prompted that change?
Yeah, well, like you referenced, a decade's a long time,
Mhm.
but really the mix of prescription drugs that members use has changed drastically. And because of that, as well as because of the increasing costs of some of the drugs that members are using, the plan has actually been paying more and more every year, and not just in terms of the actual dollar amount, but in terms of the percentage. I want to be clear before I get into the numbers a little bit, but I want to be clear. Our job as a health plan is to provide our members with coverage and benefits. That's what we're here for. That's what we are passionate about. This is your plan, but we also want to make sure that the plan is sustainable. So I'll just share in 2023, and this is after years of increases. In 2023, the plan was paying approximately 91% of every dollar paid for prescription drugs. Um, by 2024, that had increased to 93%. In the first half of 2025, just got these numbers that had increased to 93.5%. So we're still continuing to go up even just after six months. We are seeing these increases come month after month. And again, that's what we're here for, is to help provide that coverage. But this kind of increase in spending hits everybody across the board, whether you're taking prescription drugs or not, whether you're taking just generics or if you're taking specialty drugs, et cetera. And we've got a lot of tools that we can use to help control costs, both for individuals who are taking drugs, but also for everybody on the plan. And that's the goal, is to make sure that drugs are accessible, that they're affordable, but also that the premiums remain fairly stable over time. Last year, going into 2025, we had double-digit premium increases for the first time in years. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do that year after year. And so if there are opportunities for us to make some changes to out-of-pocket costs, um, while still retaining affordability for members who are using benefits, then that's what I want to do. I also don't want to come back to people next year and say, "Oh, by the way, we're changing it again, and we're changing it again." So my hope is that we can keep these changes in place for a while. I'm not going to guarantee 10 years,
Right.
but for a while without having to disrupt members year after year.
Right. And that's what is most important to us, is the members and their satisfaction. So we've been talking all about this change. So give us an overview of it.
Sure. All right. So I want to be clear. The member cost share is going up. Um, and in some cases it's not going to change because maybe the price of the drug is low enough that you're not going to be affected by these changes. But I want to be clear that you should check your costs. We'll put a link to the drug pricing tool in the show notes, so you can go and just select the 2026 year and see what your cost share will be. But let's start with 30-day prescriptions. And Manny, I think we've got a chart that we can share with folks, right?
We
And so if you're
do.
just listening, you can go to our YouTube page, catch the recording of this, or you can join us for one of our open season webinars. We'll be sharing a similar chart. But for network retail, this is up to a 30-day supply. A generic drug, a tier one drug, will cost $12. The preferred brand name drugs in the tier two, members will be responsible for 35% of the cost, up to a maximum of $150. For tier three, these are the non-preferred brand name drugs. Members are responsible for 45% of the cost, up to a maximum of $300. When you get into specialty drugs, if you're looking at generic specialty, members will be responsible for 35% of the cost, up to a maximum of $240. And actually, for preferred brand name specialty drugs, it's the same, 35% up to a maximum of $240. Tier 6 drugs are the non-preferred brand name specialty drugs. And so if you're taking one of those, members are responsible for 50% of the cost up to a maximum of $480. So that's the 30-day supply. And where a lot of members may want to keep their focus is on the maintenance medication. So if you're taking drugs on a continuing basis, you're usually getting a 90-day supply. Maybe you're getting it through home delivery, or if it's a non-specialty drug, you may be getting it from a Smart 90 retail network pharmacy like a Walgreens or CVS. So let's talk about cost shares for that. Um, Generic drugs, again, for a 90-day supply, non-specialty generic, I should be clear, it's $20 copay. Um, Tier two, these are your preferred brand name drugs. For up to a 90-day supply, the member, are responsible for 35% up to a maximum of $300. For tier three non-preferred brand name drugs, it's 45% up to a maximum of $400 for that 90-day supply. We get into the specialty drugs. Actually, there's not a difference between the 30-day cost share and the 90-day cost share. So for tier four and tier five, that's generic specialty and preferred brand name specialty, it's 35% up to a maximum of $240. And then for tier six, the non-preferred brand name specialty drugs, members are responsible for 50% up to a maximum of $480. So I realize, again, if you're listening, that's a lot of numbers all at once. Visit our open season webpage. You can see it all laid out there. Tune in for one of our webinars during open season if you've got questions about this, and definitely check the cost of your drugs. I also want to stress that if you're on a low cost drug and it's for a 30-day supply, it's less than $12, you get a generic antibiotic. And it's just a 3-day course of treatment. Or you're even on a 90-day supply and it's a generic and it's less than $20, you're not going to pay anything more than the actual cost of the drug. Or if it's a little bit more than that, you're only going to pay whatever is laid out in the benefits there. So that's where I want to pause. I'll pause there. Maddie, you've heard this a couple times, but I appreciate you're coming at it from the member's perspective to make sure we get questions answered.
Absolutely. And obviously some of our population is overseas, and then
Yeah.
obviously we have a lot in the United States. But is there any change for members who obtain their drugs from Overtel or overseas retail pharmacies, or those who receive the prescriptions at a military treatment facility?
There's not. So those benefits are not changing. They're still laid out the same in Section 5F of the 2026 FSBP brochure. And essentially that means that they're covered at 90%. Members are responsible for 10% of the cost when obtained overseas.
Perfect. And I know, as someone who's always trying to save costs, is a lot of our members will be facing an increase in their out-of-pocket costs. Are there ways that they can save money?
Yeah, there are. And I appreciate that we've got an opportunity to highlight this. So I want to first of all say for active duty employees, take a look at the FSA Feds program. This is an option to have to elect an amount that's withheld from your paycheck pre-tax and then can be used to reimburse you for eligible medical expenses, including prescription drug costs. So there's one option there. It again is only available to active duty federal employees, but you can elect up to $3,400 next year. So they've got a great calculator on their website. So it's fsafeds.com. You can go there and check that out. And I do want to note that is one program where you have to re-enroll every single year. So even if you've had it for 2025, you've got to take action during open season to re-enroll for next year. So there are some other options you have also. Members age 18 and older, everybody covered under the plan, whether you're the enrollee, a spouse, or a child who's age 18 and older, can participate in our Simple Steps to Living Well Together program. So by doing some things like completing a health risk assessment, getting your annual physical, tracking your physical activity, participating in a coaching program, things like that, you can earn up to $400 in incentives every year. And that amount is available to help cover eligible out-of-pocket costs, which include prescription drug cost share. And that amount does roll over from one year to the next without a limit. So if you've got $600 sitting in there, you haven't used it in 2025, it'll all roll over to next year as long as you remain enrolled in Foreign Service Benefit Plan, which we hope you do. But that'll be available to you and you can utilize that to get reimbursed for your out-of-pocket costs. Finally, if you are eligible and enrolled in Medicare Part A and or Part B, and you meet some other conditions, we'll talk about those in just a minute, I encourage you to explore some other options that are available to you. So for our Medicare eligible population, really want to encourage that you take a look at our Medicare, our FSBP Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. We're not going to talk much about that today. More information is available on our website, but many of our members could save money by examining the FSBP Express Scripts Medicare Prescription Drug Plan. We're going to refer to it for the rest of the episode as the PDP or even the EGWP PDP. And I think, Maddie, that's our cue to welcome our guest, Tavares Johnson. TJ, welcome back to AFSPA Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We'll start with our first question, which is, can you tell us who is eligible for the PDP?
Yeah, sure. So the people who are eligible for the PDP are those who are retired, 65 and older, and enrolled in parts and A and or B. Part B is not mandated, it's optional, but those are the eligibility requirements to be covered under the AFSPA EGWP PDP plan.
All right. And before we get into some more of the details, particularly the cost share, can you tell our members about some of the other features that the PDP offers, some other reasons they might want to consider staying with it or perhaps making the change to the PDP if they're eligible?
No, sure thing. So with the PDP plan, there is a huge nationwide pharmacy network with over 60,000 pharmacies. So your Kroger's, your CVS's, your Walmart's, your Walgreens, all those pharmacies are on the network. So plenty of access members have to obtain their medications. They can also use the home delivery pharmacy. So instead of going into the retail outlet, you can have them mailed to your doorstep. Your maintenance medications, you can put them on the automatic refill program and they'll just show up as you need it to take a lot of the legwork out of for the member. You also can get your specialty medications. Specialty medications is huge because the cost share under the EGWP PDP in comparison to the high option plan, it just blows it out of the water. So those are just some of the highlights that you can that I would say are beneficial for members enrolling in the EGWP PDP plan.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight when you were talking about the nationwide network, one change that we've made in collaboration with Express Scripts, actually effective 10/1, for all of our members, is that the Kroger family of stores is now in network. It has been for the Medicare PDP plan for a while, but for all members now. But that can be convenient for some people. So Maddie, I'll kick it back to you for the next question.
Like we talked about before, we're mostly focused on the cost share today, and we just got through sharing with our members how they will pay for out-of-pocket prescriptions in 2026 in our FSBP high option plan. Can you give us an overview of the out-of-pocket costs under the PDP?
Sure, absolutely. So one positive note is there were no prescription cost increases for 2026. So for your generic medications, member can fill up to a 30-day supply for $2. Your preferred brand name prescriptions, those are $40. The non-preferred brand medications are $75. And just to bring it back full circle, what we were just speaking on, the specialty medications, you can get a specialty medication. The cost is 25% of the medication's total cost, but it does have a maximum of $150. So you will pay no more than $150 for a specialty medication.
And I just want to be clear, because our high option plan has multiple specialty tiers. With the PDP, it's just the one tier still, right?
Correct. There's only one tier. All specialty medications are treated equally. There's one tier. They all fall in the same bucket, and the most anyone will pay under the EGWP PDP is $150.
Excellent.
Perfect. And as I say the next question, we'll have a chart up if you're listening just to audio. Definitely check out the YouTube version of the video of this podcast where you can look at this chart, or tune into AFSPA Live at the end of November to also see this chart. But I know a lot of people who are eligible for the PDP will be interested in the maintenance medication cost share. So, what about the 90-day supplies?
Yeah, so for the 90 days, you can get a 90-day of a generic. The most you'll pay is $4. A 3-month supply of preferred brands is 60. The non-preferred and non-formulary brand medications are $150. And again, not to be redundant, but just to reiterate, that specialty medications, you can get up to a 90-day supply. The most you will pay is $150. That is substantially less than the high option plan, as you can see, has you can pay up to $480 for a 90-day supply. So that's a fraction of the cost under the Medicare prescription drug plan as it is under the high option.
That's right. So there, TJ, I really appreciate you joining us because we want to highlight this for our Medicare members and those who are eligible for the PDP. And you don't have to have Part B. You can just have Part A, which a lot of our members do. They only have Part A, but you can still enroll in the PDP, save your out-of-pocket costs. But one question that comes up a lot from people, and you've been answering this for us for a couple years now, but I'm going to ask it again. Is there an additional premium that people have to pay for the Medicare PDP?
There is no additional premium. Now, what I will caveat is high income earners may be subject to a Part D income related Medicare adjustment amount, otherwise referred to as D-IRMA. This is based off your income. So, how it works is they look at your past 2 years' tax returns to the IRS. So, for planned year 2026, they'll look at your 2024 tax records. They'll take your adjusted gross income, and it's dependent on if you're a single filer or married filing jointly or married filing separately. They have buckets, and if you fall in one of the buckets, you will pay a small additional amount to your normal premium that is paid to AFSPA. Now, a couple things I would like to highlight is Express Scripts nor AFSPA has any visibility into who gets this D-IRMA. This is solely between Social Security and the IRS. Now, how it works is if you have enough in your Social Security check to cover the IRMA, then it's taken directly out of that. If you do not have enough, then it's billed to you, and then you can just mail the payment in.
Okay. And I appreciate that part. Yes, we don't have anything to do with determining the IRMA or even to know who's going to pay the IRMA. But I also want to note that we've changed this program in 2025 to an opt-in program. So people who are eligible, who are interested, have to take action on this. And I also want to note that like all Medicare coverage, this is an individual, a personal decision. So it may make sense for one spouse, if we're talking about a married couple, to opt into the PDP, and may not make as much sense for somebody else, depending on IRMA calculations, depending on the premium and so forth. So, um, I just want to stress that for people that is an individual decision.
No,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So, it's a case by case basis. Everyone has to do what works best for them and their family. But I would highly recommend, based on the comparison, like this plan it blows most plans that I see out of the water by far. Now, if someone would like to opt out, then they can visit www.afspa.org/PDP. P is in Paul, D is in Delta, P is in Paul. There's a form there. You would just fill out that form. There is another way. If you wouldn't like to do it online, you can call 202-833-4910, ask to speak with someone on the eligibility team, and they can help you with your opting out.
That's right. And that's also the way to opt in. So any enrollment changes you want to make on the PDP in or out, you contact AFSPA. But if you have questions about the plans, the mechanics of it, we'll include the number for the Express Scripts dedicated team in our show notes so you can contact with any questions about that. But we handle eligibility at the AFSPA office.
All right. We've covered a lot. But TJ, is there anything else you'd like to add for our listeners before we go?
No, just thank you both again for the opportunity to come and talk about your plan. Really enjoy working with you. You have some amazing members, and I would just urge people, if you have any questions about your plan for 2026, or if you're currently in the plan for 2025, feel free to reach out to Express Scripts. We can be contacted via www.express-scripts.com. You can call the number on the back of your ID card, speak with someone in member services. And again, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you.
Well, we really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us to highlight this savings opportunity for so many of our members.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Tavares Johnson from Express Scripts for joining us today to talk about the FSBP Express Scripts Medicare Prescription Drug Plan. To learn more about all of the FSBP benefits and programs for 2026, please visit afspa.org/open season. To further explore the PDP and opt into the program, please visit afspa.org/PDP. For more information about all the benefits and programs offered by the Foreign Service Benefit Plan and AFSPA more broadly, please visit afspa.org. This has been AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association. All information offered in this podcast is meant to be educational. The views expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily represent AFSPA. Should there be any discrepancy between information offered in this podcast and official plan documents for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan or our other products, the policy provisions will prevail. Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow us or subscribe to AFSPA Talks on your favorite podcast platform to catch our next episode. Please rate and review us on your favorite app, and share feedback with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Search for @AFSPA Cares. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of AFSPA Talks. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss an episode. If you have any follow-up questions about the topics in this episode, join our AFSPA Live Q&A session on the last Thursday of every month. We will be streaming live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/AFSPA Cares. Thanks for listening.